Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Suzanne Gundersen from Transform Connections. I help people to naturally de-stress and reconnect with their bodies and their lives. And I'm here today joined by Jen Morris. She is an executive job search coach, and she's here to share with us, the cold hard facts of what's going on the job search front. So welcome, Jen. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thanks for having me. So I help executive job seekers in today's crowded virtual job market. We're all having to navigate things a little bit differently than maybe a year ago or a couple of years ago. So I'm helping job seekers get noticed faster in this market and actually get hired. A lot of the work that I do with people is through one-on-one as well as group coaching.
Wonderful. I know it's such a challenge out there. So I know you're the expert. So tell us, what are you seeing out there? Like, what are the top stresses and challenges that you might be hearing from your clients that that are out there?
Yeah, so there's a few things right now. One of the first things that jumps out at me that I'm seeing happen quite frequently is people feeling a tremendous sadness due to losing a job unexpectedly. Some people are even in kind of a mourning stage about a job or potentially an industry. There are industries that have been kind of toppled over with this pandemic. And if you think about retail, it looks a lot different today. Hospitality looks a lot different today. Events industry. And I'm seeing just a ton of people who loved their jobs, and there's nobody to blame. There's just, it's a fact now that these industries are changing or have changed, and some of these jobs are just now gone. So people are feeling that sadness, that loss, and really needing a little bit of time to recover from that. So that would be one big one that I'm seeing right now.
Wow. Yeah.
In addition to that, I'm seeing just a lot of anxiety around getting through the job search process. So as we all know, when you go through job search, not every job is a great fit. And so many job seekers do start to face that rejection, and your confidence can start to take a hit. So in today's virtual job market, many people will be applying to jobs. One job post could get several hundred applicants. They're
Right.
only looking at maybe the top 2 to 3% to move through an interview process. So that's 97, 98% of applicants who are not going to hear anything. So the confidence is
That's a
taking,
lot. Yeah.
yeah, confidence really takes a hit when you're in this type of a virtual job market, this virtual sea of people that you're in there trying to compete with. So anxiety is really high.
Sure.
And then finally, I'm seeing, fear for people. You've lost your income. I'm seeing people who are concerned about how long it will take to replace that income again, and or how long will it take to get their career back on track. People might be right now looking at losing a home or losing, we've already lost many of the activities that we love, but even more so now that they're on a limited or no income at the moment. So just that fear, getting over that hump of how do I get from having nothing coming in right now back on track again? Am I going to have to take a step down or a step back in my career? So that fear is another thing that I'm seeing quite often with job seekers.
Wow, those are three huge, huge, huge things, and just so relevant for what's happening right now. I mean, first and foremost, we spend so much of our time at doing our job that, of course, we have an identity shaped around it. So when there's an industry that's collapsing, that we might not ever go back to again, that's part of our shift toward that loss that you're mentioning about, and the sadness that we could feel for it. And then certainly, having to be out there in a sea of, we're 7, 8 billion people on the planet almost, and everybody's in competition to try and get that job. So the rejection that we might be experiencing, and I never really liked the word rejection. I always call it redirection. And I know you're really good at helping people get super clear on who they are as an individual and their contributions. That way that they are a good alignment, for the job that they're applying for. So I like to say rejection is more redirection and getting yourself, more information to get clear. And then definitely that fear of, am I going to have to take a step back? Am I going to have that same VP title, or whatever the title was, or the same role? What am I going to have to do? Am I going to have the same livelihood? So many worries, so many concerns. And thanks for sharing all that. That just seems to be so appropriate for today. And I'm sure people listening are going to resonate with one, if not more of those, if not all of them, of what's happening. And so, what it is that I do when I work with my clients is I help them to be honest about those scenarios and how it's affecting them physically, emotionally, and mentally. And then I use a simple self use acupressure technique that I call neuro energy tapping, which is literally helps us to shift how we feel and experience stress in our body and in our emotions and our mind. And it's really simple to use. So if you've been watching and sharing and sharing in the stress of all of what Jen just mentioned for those different scenarios, or maybe even ones that she didn't mention, I just want to invite you to follow along in this little simple tapping round that you can do to help to kind of let go of some of that stress and process some of it through your body and feel more at peace from the struggle that you may be experiencing. And then I know Jen's got some great wisdom that she's going to share with us after we move through this, but just to get everybody familiar with the tapping technique, it's really simple. You're going to take two fingers, either hand. If you grew your eyebrows together, that would be the first tapping point. And Jen, feel free to just tap along. Yeah. So what you want to do is focus on that stressful thing, that worry about that loss of identity, that loss of job, job that you had for so long. Maybe it's that fear of rejection or having been rejected. And then tap on the side of the eye, right here by your temple. Maybe it's worrying about having to take a step back, not having the same role, maybe having a different type of career. Whatever that stress or worry is, you just tap on the side of the eye and then tap under your eye on the top of your cheekbone. Again, focusing on any emotional, mental, physical symptoms that you are experiencing when you think about these stressful job search scenarios. And then tapping on your collarbones right here. Just get a nice bounce there, remembering to breathe. And you want to tap about 5 to 10 times per point. And just, you might notice your body taking a spontaneous breath. You might notice some tingly sensations. And these are all good signs that the energy body is moving and shifting. And then you want to take one hand and squeeze the opposite wrist a couple times and just take a nice, easy breath. And then blow it out and say the word clear. So that's how you go through the tapping sequences. You want to focus on the thing that's bothering you the most, is the biggest stress, whether it is that sadness and loss, it's that worry, it's the rejection, it's the fear, whatever it is, and how you know those stories to be true for you. And focus as best you can on it, make it as strong as you can inside of you. And you tap on these points while you're focused there. And what that does is it's literally going to shift how you feel and experience that stress. So that way you can come to more peace and wisdom about those stories. So I know Jen's got some great wisdom to share with us, kind of the end of the road of where we might want to think differently after we've cleared some energy and that stress from our body. So Jen, lay it on us. What can we look forward to when we're not so stressed and struggling about these things?
Yeah. So, Suzanne, one of the things that I love about tapping is that it does bring you into the present moment. I think oftentimes we're taught to suppress our feelings or kind of try and ignore it and just push through. But I love the thought, as you said, of focusing on what that problem is and then shifting that energy. So, love the tapping technique for that reason alone. It kind of lets you work through those feelings so that you can move on from them. So once we've done the tapping, a couple of other things that I recommend for job seekers to help you overcome that stress. Number one, focus on the present and what you can control. So tapping helps you do that. But then also within your job search, what are those next steps that you can control that you can take to move forward? A lot of job seekers today, you apply online and then you get ignored. A lot of job seekers are using networking and talking to people and letting their network help them through the process and finding success with that. So that would be one, is just network, focus on what you can control.
And if you've just listened to what Jen said and you've got any resistance to that, to say, I don't have a network, or I've tried, or any of what you might be spewing out to say, no, that doesn't work for me, or I've tried everything, that would be great tapping material. So you might want to just tap on that resistance to let go of more of that stress and struggle, to get more into that present place that she mentioned. Because when you're present and calm, you'll be able to have this perspective of, yeah, okay, there is somebody else I could call. There are other groups out there that I could, connect with and meet new people for.
Great
So
point. Good point. Yeah. The second thing I would say is if you are facing that rejection and you're starting to maybe lose confidence, I want you to stay confident in your abilities. You've done the work in the past. You've had a career in the past. You've landed jobs in the past. You can do that again. So none of that went away. Even if your industry has dried up, you still have those talents that you can use and put to work somewhere else. So stay confident in yourself and your abilities. Don't let those external rejections or those external forces kind of break you down. And then
you've got
third,
skills.
finally, oh, go ahead.
Just remember, you've got skills.
You do. Yeah, you never lose your skills. That's the great thing about it.
Hmm.
And then finally, the last thing I'll say is really just celebrate your small wins. In job search, I think oftentimes people get focused on the one big win, which is landing the job and getting back to work. But there are plenty of steps along the way that you need to tackle to get to that ultimate goal. So don't lose sight of the fact when your resume is finally in a great place and you're excited to share it, that's a win. Celebrate that success. When your LinkedIn profile is actually starting to attract attention for you, that is another win. So go with that energy. So celebrate your small wins along the way. Keep a track of how far you've come, because it is a long road and a long journey to get to that next career or that next role. So celebrate those wins along the way. Keep yourself focused on what you can do, what you can control, and then celebrate it as you make those great steps.
I love it. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. And if anybody listening to that has any resistance to accepting those ideas and that line of thinking, then please go back and do some more tapping to release that stress and struggle. And that's going to help you be able to, when you're tapping, what you're doing is you're literally sending a calming signal to the part of the brain that says, I'm not safe, I'm under threat, and it calms it down. And then it will calm and relax your body naturally. And then once the body is calm and the heart is beating regularly and you're breathing normally, then your brain starts to open up more. And then you have access to that part of your brain, the front of your brain, that prefrontal cortex that has all that imaginative, rational thinking. When you're stressed out, that part of your brain goes offline. So you don't even have access to it. So you really have to, first and foremost, go to the thing that's creating your stress and struggle the most. And then we clear that through using the tapping process. And then you can get closer and closer to all the wonderful wisdoms that Jen just shared. So best wishes to everybody on their job search. Please, Jen, tell us how we can get in touch with you to learn more about your programs and how we can get your support.
Sure. So I have a website, careerinspo.com. So like inspiration, but inspo. Careerinspo.com is the website. Got my email address on there. I've got programs on there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Beautiful. Thank you. And for everyone who's listening, feel free to pop over to my website, transformedconnections.com, and download yourself a free ebook of Get Empowered with Energy Tapping. That way you too can learn how to effectively make this very simple self-use acupressure technique work for you and keeping you calm and confident during your job search. So Jen,
Awesome.
Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. And thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Thanks.